In this video, I'm ranking every primary exotic hand cannon in a tier list. In Season 17, Bungie introduced the air effectiveness system and weapon stat, which dramatically altered the way we look at primary weapons and engagements. Legendary hand cannons used to have a big advantage over their exotic counterparts due to the fact that they have a mod slot and are able to equip Icarus Grip. Icarus Grip used to make it so you could reliably hit shots while airborne. That has changed to simply provide a bonus to the weapon's air effectiveness stat. Every exotic weapon has a hand-tuned air effectiveness stat, and in some cases, certain legendary hand cannons have lower air effectiveness than their exotic counterparts. I tried out every exotic hand cannon, and I'll be ranking them based on how they stack up in the current meta in Season of the Haunted. But first, have you ever done something amazing in a video game only to realize your recording software wasn't turned on, so you have no way of sharing that moment with your friends? That sucks, and you need to download Outplayed. Outplayed connects directly to your favorite games and instantly saves all of your highlights and clip-worthy moments without you even having to think. Did you hit a 7th column in the Crucible? Did you one-phase the raid boss? Outplayed can instantly clip it and ship it directly to Discord or any other social media site within seconds. I use it myself to capture all the clips in my videos, and it's completely free to download and use. Check my link in the description and never miss any of your favorite moments ever again. Huge thanks to Outplayed for sponsoring my channel. Now let's get back to the content. First on the list is a franchise staple. I wanted to start off with a winner just to show you what a truly incredible exotic hand cannon looks like. The Ace of Spades is the embodiment of the space cowboy fantasy. This weapon has it all. While its base air effectiveness sits on the lower end at 14, everything else about this weapon more than makes up for it. 85 range allows for distant engagements at base, and once you have Memento Mori, that distance gets pushed even further thanks to the damage bonus. We have Outlaw, Dragonfly, Kill Clip, and the ability to keep our radar while aiming down sights. The easy to access damage boost with Memento Mori combined with things like Radiant allow us to easily combat the current healing meta. An incredible weapon that needs no further explanation, it is truly worthy of the S tier. The last word is slowly becoming the Telesto of hand cannons. Bungie has tweaked and reworked this weapon so many times it's hard to keep track. It used to be an absolute monster on mouse and keyboard, and it has been an incredible option for controller users for quite a long time. Just ask Grenadier Jake. The Solstice patch did aim to nerf the last word by nerfing its range and aim assist, but it appears to still be a strong contender amongst players, and its usage rate has actually gone up since the supposed nerf, but that may be due to players wanting to test it out. But in my time with it, it is still very much the last word. A completely different weapon between M&K and controller. It's hard to nail down exactly how to rank the last word, and I remain convinced that it is a much stronger weapon on controller versus M&K. For that reason, we are ranking it twice. On controller, it remains strong, and I may be being generous here post-nerf, but I am placing it in the A+ tier. For M&K, it's difficult to use outside of sheer yeehaw shenanigans due to its range and the current meta. And while I know there are many last word M&K aficionados out there, I am placing the last word in the B tier for M&K. Next, let's talk about Lumina. Lumina is what happens when your grandpa guardian hand whittles a hand cannon out of a solid piece of wood. It's absolutely beautiful, especially with the ornament, and truly it lives up to its good looks. A base air effectiveness of 27 gives you a modicum of hope for hitting a shot in the air and sits higher than something like Ias Luna, which only hits 25 air effectiveness with Icarus Grip. Lumina is special because what makes it good is nothing more than the fact that it just feels damn good to use. 88 aim assist at base makes it very forgiving for headshots, which matters a lot since we generate remnants on precision kills. Those remnants allow us to hipfire noble rounds that seek allies, heal them, and grants you both a damage bonus for 10 seconds. That buff pushes our precision damage to 81 per crit, up from 70. This matters greatly in the current meta because nothing is more frustrating than having an enemy guardian heal through a clean 3-tap because it is just enough to heal in between shots and survive. Having an on-demand damage boost helps to combat the healing meta, and this can also be stacked with things like Radiant to push it further. With decent range and stability and very good handling, combined with the reasons I just stated, Lumina will find itself in the A+ tier. Take it for a spin, you won't be disappointed. How could we not talk about Thorn next? Thorn is Lumina's polar opposite in the lore, and gets immediate bonus points for being a weapon of sorrow. That makes it S tier, and we are moving on. I'm just kidding, we gotta talk about it. Thorn has been on a journey since all the way back in D1. It's always been a strong weapon, but due to power creep in the form of weapon stats, it's starting to fall behind. The biggest pain point is its paltry range stat. At only 49 range, it's far outclassed by hand cannons such as Palindrome or Ias Luna, not to mention pulse rifles and scout rifles. It does offer 21 base air effectiveness, which isn't bad, and its biggest saving grace is its potential to counter the healing meta with its poison tick damage. In the hands of a skilled user, that tick damage can be used to gain information on your target behind cover, and also delays their health regeneration. While it can't stop a Loreley Titan or a Wormhusk Hunter, it does cause your enemy to feel pressured, taking damage while behind cover. Similar to Lumina, kills drop soul remnants that reload and empower Thorn on pickup. This boosts the damage over time and does help to make up for its lack of range. I really hope we see a catalyst for Thorn soon, and I hope it boosts its range. For now, Thorn will sit comfortably in the A- tier. Continuing with the theme of spooky weapons, next up is Malfeasance, and it is the only exotic 180 RPM hand cannon in the game. 180 RPM hand cannons did receive a fantastic buff in the Solstice patch, making them much more forgiving. They maintain their 1 second flat time to kill, but is easier to achieve at 2 crits and 2 body shots. The real buff lies in the fact that now, with any form of damage boost, 180 RPM hand cannons can 3-tap for a lightning fast time to kill at 0.6 seconds. Unfortunately, this doesn't mean much for poor old Malfy. While we can run a subclass that has access to Radiance or an Empowering Rift to put us in that 3-tap territory, I can't help but feel like other legendary 180 RPMs such as Frontier's Cry or Survivor's Epitaph are in a better position with access to damage perks such as Kill Clip and Rampage. The other thing hurting Malfy is its exotic perk, which requires 5 shots in a target to trigger. This is almost never going to happen in PvP, especially with the recent buff. While it does boast higher air effectiveness at a base of 38, it isn't enough to save it. Malfeasance sadly finds itself at the bottom of our list in the B tier. Next on the list is another franchise staple, the Hawkmoon. Known for its incredible ability to one-tap Guardians, this weapon is the embodiment of high risk, high reward. Hawkmoon is very unique in the fact that it has random rolls like a legendary weapon, and you can get different barrels, perks, and grips on this weapon. While there are certainly several different ways to build Hawkmoon depending on your preference, the core of the weapon remains the same. Landing precision hits grants you stacks of paracausal charge, which increase the damage of your next shot. This leads to a lot of potential for 2 taps and rewards high skill players with the coveted caca of the all-powerful 1-tap. Many a bad habit can ruin this weapon for you. If you are a chronic reloader like me, the perk becomes moot. Likewise, if you spam shots frequently, you will not get much value out of paracausal shot. The weapon alone feels incredible with high handling and high stability, near perfect recoil direction, and paired with a perk such as Rangefinder, you have an amazing weapon on your hands. It also has 26 base air effectiveness, making it sit slightly above the majority of legendary hand cannons. If you are disciplined enough to get the most out of it, it is one of the most rewarding weapons in the game. For that reason, Hawkmoon earns its place in the A+ tier. Sturm is another unique exotic hand cannon, as it is the only one of its archetype, the only 120 RPM exotic hand cannon. With its catalyst, it boasts extremely high range at 90, and as a 120 RPM, that means it's not experiencing damage fall off until nearly 40 meters. Sturm truly saw its heyday during the 120 RPM meta in Beyond Light, when it was extremely easy to 2-tap Guardians with 120s. Those days have passed, and while Sturm still stands out to me for feeling more like a 140 RPM hand cannon than a 120, the current meta is not doing it any favors. Remember when I talked about how frustrating it is for a Guardian to heal through a clean 3-tap with a 140 hand cannon? Yeah, that issue is even worse with a 120. While it does hit slightly harder at 80 damage per crit, the time between shots is even slower, making it more punishing to go against a target that has any sort of healing buff. But in the chaos of regular Crucible, there are many other options to choose from. And while you can pair it with Drang to get overpowered rounds, it's a heavy investment just to improve the weapon. While I personally love Sturm, it just doesn't shine in the current meta. I hope it gets some more time in the sun one day, but I currently rank it in the A- tier, teetering on the brink of B tier. Next we have Crimson, an extremely unique hand cannon that fires a 3-round burst. It's the spiritual successor to Red Death from Destiny 1. The first thing I have to say on Crimson is that you absolutely need the catalyst for this weapon to make it feel remotely decent. It adds 20 range, and without it, it's really awkward to find your proper engagement distance. Damage fall off as well as aim assist fall off makes this weapon unwieldy, especially when playing on mouse and keyboard. This is another weapon that feels very different depending on your input. I understand it is excellent on controller as reticle stickiness greatly helps with keeping your reticle on the target, which is easy to lose track of due to the nature of this weapon. I did hear an interesting trick that seemed to help as well. I lowered my FOV to 95, and it seemed to really help with reticle tracking on Crimson. This might be placebo, but it certainly felt better to me when I was using it. Some people also say using certain ornaments can help as well. I was using Black Death and it did personally feel a bit better to me. The weapon does heal you on kills and it reloads to full on a precision kill, making it very fun to use in places like 6v6. Depending on your input and preferences, your mileage may vary with Crimson, but it is certainly unique and fun to take out for a spin. I am ranking it in the A- tier. Sunshot was the first weapon on the list that made me ask, wait, why have I not been using this weapon? It's genuinely incredible. It's the only hand cannon in the game that remains as a 150 RPM hand cannon, giving it a faster TTK than the majority of hand cannons in the game. But that's not the only thing that makes it great. Sunshot boasts a 27 air effectiveness stat, which is higher than many legendary 140 hand cannons. With the catalyst, we have a very high range stat at 71, and that shines even brighter due to Sunshot intrinsically having explosive payload. This allows you to maintain great damage beyond the damage fall off point. I was genuinely surprised at the distance I was able to maintain a 3-tap kill, and the added flinch from explosive payload really allows you to play aggressively and go for in-air shots, even if they're body shots. You can spam shots on an enemy and still find success. The increased rate of fire combined with the added flinch makes it very difficult to go up against. The only downside of Sunshot is its lower than average aim assist stat sitting at 60. You will need to line up your shots, but you will be rewarded with that original 150 RPM time to kill. Not to mention, every enemy you defeat explodes in glorious fashion, making this weapon shine even more in game modes like Control. I was so surprised at how well Sunshot felt while I was using it, and I highly recommend using it again as I think it will surprise a lot of you with just how well it's currently performing. I am ranking Sunshot in the S tier alongside Ace of Spades. That's my current tier list of all the primary exotic hand cannons in the game. Naturally, this is just my opinion, and I would love to hear what you would change in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like down below and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss my future content. It also lets me know that you guys like this type of content, and I'll be sure to make more if everyone enjoys it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.